The Yankees win, holding off the Cleveland Guardians to set up a date with the Houston Astros in the American League Championship Series. And the NLCS gets underway in San Diego. Diamond Diehards is on! Joe Rizzo here, bringing you baseball along with the dog, Jeff Healy. Playoff baseball. Dog has had enough of a reprieve. He could get back into it now. His Mets are now a story for last week and maybe for a few weeks from now. But now it's Yankees, Astros, and Padres, Phillies to take center stage and get us through here the rest of the playoff baseball season. You can follow the show at any place where you get your podcast, YouTube, the Facebook Live group. That's where we're at right now. If you're checking this out live at 9:12 on October 18th, when the Phillies and the Padres are in the fourth inning, and the Phils just jumped out to a 1-0 lead, and just a few hours after the Yankees eliminated the Guardians. If you're one that likes to just listen to it, or you like to catch the video sometimes and the audio sometimes, Apple Podcasts, go subscribe there. Spotify, where I go, check it out there. And pretty much any place that you can find your podcast, that's where you're going to check us out. Dog, the Yankees did it about as easily as you could ever hope your team to do it, within reason, in this fifth and final game after, 2 rainouts, and, just the series just kept getting extended and extended and extended. The Guardians extend them to the full 5 games, but the Yankees prevail.
Yeah, I mean, God was on their side, right? got the rain out. You got Nestor Cortez, and he was cranking, and everything worked for the Yanks. Good solid play. Big sticks finally showing up for them. Great clutch pitching from their top guys in their rotation that they needed. And just went out and put up a convincing win. Also, I think on an encouraging side, maybe you're getting the first half Clay Holmes, which is a real difference maker for the Yankees. As we had some concerns in the back of the bullpen. And if he's giving you that kind of quality that he's given you so far in the playoffs, you could be feeling pretty good as a Yankee fan.
It's 4D chess by Aaron Boone, right? He holds back Clay Holmes.
Not about that, but all right. it's your night. Congratulations.
I'm doing this for.
I'm waiting for the Harrison Bader. I'm like, yeah, it's a long time here.
I'm doing this for every one of our Yankee fan friends named Mike Sarah, Mike Sappho. Aaron Boone playing 4D chess. He doesn't use Clay Holmes in the game where they blow a 5-3 lead in the 9th, because he didn't want to use him at that moment in time in consecutive days. So in the end, it somehow pays off because he's able to use him then in game 4. So if let's say he uses him in game 3 and he blows it, right? Maybe he's not around for game 4, right? Maybe he was sore, maybe he was hurt, maybe there was some kind of ailment, injury, whatever that they're just covering for. And he needs the extra day. So he does it in game 4. Then they say, well, if it's game 5, he's kind of, it's sort of all hands on deck and he's ready to go. But then game 5 gets rained out from its scheduled day. So he gets the extra day of rest again. And he comes out and he looks like the first half Clay Holmes. Now, if he's got to do it in back-to-back games against the Astros, there's more of a chance that would happen, right? Because it's a best of 7. So you're playing at least 4 if you want to win, right? And if you want to win, you figure
you got to play 4 to get paid.
Right. But I'm saying if you want to win it in 4, you got to figure he's going to pitch in at least 3 of those, right?
Sure.
So that means by calculations, which Dog is the math guy, unless the Yankees can get help from rainouts in games 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the middle at Yankee Stadium, because it's not going to happen in Houston because they could just close the roof. he's going to probably be tested here to do that. And if he's the first half Clay Holmes, they have I mean, listen, at worst, the Yankees have a puncher's chance against the Astros, right? At best, they maybe can turn the tide on them for once, even though Houston, even as the most diehard Yankee fan would look at the two teams, I think you figure, the Astros have a pretty clear edge, right, head to head. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no sugarcoating that. I mean, the pitching is a big difference on paper, at least, and it's just a matter of if that performs. And I guess you could make some pretty good arguments about the lineup, whereas the Yankees might be a little more top heavy and the Astros are a little bit deeper. But we've seen how in the playoffs that sometimes doesn't matter because that's how the Padres got to where they are. The Padres did it with the freaking bottom three in their order being peerless. The bottom three playing like the top three or the middle three in most other teams' orders. So you don't know what's going to happen. Kim Marriott, by the way, jumps on right early in the live stream with the "Who's Your Daddy?"
Started it off right.
She starts it off right. So that's what you're missing. If you're not in the Facebook group, you're missing the chance to comment and get directly involved. And if you're listening, and it's just not your thing and you can't be on, it's a shame because you should definitely go on, or you could watch it at any time. And if you watch the what the Facebook Live is, you'll be able to see the comments in there at any given point. But Kim with the winner right there. That's that Fordham education being put to good use.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know what? Hey, anything can happen in this playoffs, right? I mean, we kind of always say it, but I mean, looking no further than the National League, right? Nobody had that side of bracket that I knew of. Certainly not us. And the Yankees, you got to think of this, right? I mean, other than a little bit kicking in this last game, the big boppers, have done some, but haven't gone crazy. I mean, they've got a heater streak in them. Still waiting to come. I mean, Judge can go and carry this team and carry him over the Astros, in my opinion. So, I think they've got a good chance at it. And it's tough to always beat that same team, right? And eventually it feels like it's got to go the Yankees' way. Not what I picked, but we'll see. And the way the Yanks have kind of gotten here, you got to feel pretty good about it.
Well, here's the kind of interesting thing for me, right? In the past, we feel like the Yankees had the bullpen edge, right? Like that was their thing. Like the Yankees' great bullpen, and if they hit their homers or whatever, then they could stand up to the Astros and beat them. And in the end, the thing that was costing the Yankees every single time was their bullpen and the fact that they just couldn't, they would hit a homer here and there, but they couldn't string together hits or create runs to win a close game. Well, I don't know, dog. Baseball's funny, right? And stop me if I sound too much like the bad Bob Costas. Who's
funny how?
So stop me if I sound too much like the bad Bob Costas. Who's
the Giants with the pennant.
Who somehow the world has turned on Bob Costas, who's like the best baseball announcer like ever. But
lost a little off the fastball this time.
Whatever, he's still good.
It wasn't as bad. I don't think as people were sort of making.
Yeah, I don't think
he had a rough first game and he had a couple head scratchers.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. He's not doing that many games during the year, so maybe he's not as sharp. I don't care. I'm gonna forgive Bob Costas 10 out of 10 times. So just deal with it. So here's the thing about baseball that's funny, dog. Right? Like we see these things, and now like all of a sudden, the Yankees, what looks like their mortal weakness here is their bullpen. And nothing really is expected of these guys. It's hope. It's like we hope Wandy Peralta keeps fooling people. We hope that it's the first half Clay Holmes. We hope that Clark Schmidt finds something and, like was the moment too big for him in that game 3? against the Guardians, I don't think it was like I don't think he was shaking. He wasn't giving up ropes all over the place. They were blue pits, and the Guardians are, the top or second best team in the whole league. I think they were top in putting the ball in play, and you put the ball in play, and you force the other team to field the ball. Every now and then, if they make a little mistake here and there, which the Yankees did, and the Yankees were the second best fielding team in Major League Baseball this season, and even they make mistakes here and there, right? As my pal Paul, my neighbor, wants to tell me, Harrison Bader's a terrible defensive center fielder. Look at him. He's misplaying balls all over the place. I'm like, I don't care, buddy, because he hit like Babe Ruth in the series. So they won. They're undefeated all time in playoff series with Harrison Bader. So, so were they crisp? They weren't even that crisp, and they still end up winning the series. But now they go into the series against the Astros, and they'll be, the underdog in Vegas, and just from any people who've been watching baseball this year, they'll say, yeah, the Astros definitely have the edge here. But maybe now it's that the roles are a little bit reversed, that you're just not expecting the Yankees to be able to shut the Astros down in the sixth, seventh, eighth inning, to hold a lead there if they have one, and then certainly not in the ninth when they're on the road in Houston. You're not expecting that. So maybe this is the year where the onus is on the Astros, and maybe some of these new Yankees that we're looking at come up big in that role. Maybe they're not sullied from past series and past engagements with Houston, where it just literally has never gone the Yankees' way every time they. Yeah, I mean he's not sniffing the playoff roster after.
They don't know
after
they're supposed to blow it, right? They say sometimes that's what it takes, right?
Yeah, and you have a whole NLCS that's all about that.
I'm injecting the hopium right now, Riz. I'm all in. I'm all in on this.
It's a little stunning. So here's what's going on with the Phillies and the Padres as they are through 4. Zach Wheeler's pitching a no-hitter through 4, and Bryce Harper hit a home run. So it's 1-0 Phillies. Listen, we can't do play-by-play, folks, but that's what's going on. So anyway, point being, who knows what is going to happen? But if the Astros win, I don't think any of us will be surprised. And as a Yankee fan, you'll certainly be disappointed, but you're glad to at least get another shot. And the Guardians are a way better team than people were giving credit for, dog, because they do things that other teams don't do anymore. They put the ball in play, they put pressure on the defense by running the bases well, and they play great defense.
I gotta admit, I'm a little bit distracted by the fact that Butler is crushing the comments right now, talking about he was this close to being Butler Costas. About how Costas met his wife, his mom was there. This is a great story on that. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously an uphill challenge, right? I mean, the Astros are a great team, as irritating as they are, trash can banging that they are, but like I said, I mean, the Yankees have, they've got that pop, and in that tight series, right? At some point they got to get that big hit late that they've always kind of been waiting on, and I think it's going to be tight. 1 run, 2 run sort of game, kind of keeping it tight there. And normally that kind of favors the Astros, who find a way to kind of string stuff together and get the big hits and whatnot. But you know what? Maybe this is the time when the Yanks finally get that big knock that they need late in the game, and that's enough to finally turn the tide for them.
Yeah, it's possible. And I think it's
much better D too. Actually, yeah, I'm sorry I cut you off on that, but that's a big change that the Yankees have not had in the past. That they can put out a great D. I'll throw the softball out to you here with your boy Harrison out there. That that can be a game changer on them, and that's how many times have you seen a ball get there that maybe a great fielder would have gone out and gotten and saved their bacon. Maybe that's the difference. That extra defense is just enough to help that bullpen out.
And maybe it's his bat too. Maybe he's one of these guys who's going to get hot in the playoffs. The guy hit 3 home runs in 5 games in a series.
He's pulling like the Tanya Murphy with defense.
Well, he's right now
he's kicking it.
And to be fair, his glove did not look very good in that series, but we have, our pal Butler Miller, a tried and true St. Louis guy who watched Harrison Bader play every day for 5 years. And, Butler, you throw in the comments how good of a defensive player you think Harrison Bader is. I think he's great. I watch the Cardinals a lot. I always saw a lot from him, not just, watching the highlights, but within, the actual games and the gameplay. But there were a couple of plays where he didn't look so hot on D. But who cares when he decides to be Hack Wilson with the bat? It's that'll make up for it. You know what I mean? Like he out hit whatever he misplayed, and I think that probably will even out somewhere along the line. But again, I will sit here and I will take my hand and I will reach behind my back and I will pat myself behind the back and pat myself on the back because I was all for that trade. I thought, and I was a man standing a man standing alone on a mountain on that one.
That's very fair. All that is true.
And I said
you took as much as I could give.
Yeah. And how about this? How about this, dog? They don't have him in that series. They don't win the series. How about that?
Yeah, that's true.
How about that?
That's true. I agree.
They go home right now if they don't have him. And you know what? They did it without having Jordan Montgomery have to pitch a game. Jordan Montgomery didn't even start a game for the Cardinals. So it's not like as good as he pitched for a while, he came fluttering back down to earth to be the pitcher that he's shown to be the first 5 years of his career, which is on a really good team, he's a 4 or 5, maybe. On a mediocre team, he's a 2 or 3. And on a bad team, he's near the front of your rotation. But on the Yankees, he wasn't even going to be in the playoff rotation. He wasn't going to be there. They were going to put Jameson Taillon, and they got Frankie Montas. He's hurt. He still might not have started a game if you went this far. He probably would have been behind Domingo Germán and Jameson Taillon. You know why we could figure that out? Because he's the guy that they traded to get the other guy. So right? I mean, it's kind of logical, isn't it? Like he's the guy that they said could go. So, they didn't want to hang on to the lefty there, and maybe we'll see if that hurts them or doesn't hurt them against the Astros. And if they can get by the Astros, they're playing a house money team, right? The Phillies or the Padres are, either of those teams would kind of, on the one hand, they're glad to be playing each other, but on the other hand, they're probably saying, geez, it would have been nice to come in here as like the brandished underdog, which is how they got through their first 2 series apiece. So, it
is sort of screaming that the National League is set up for, it's 12 o'clock, you lost a shoe and you're not Cinderella. So it's I think it feels unlikely that the NL is gonna be able to get either the 5 or 6 seed to take either one of the Astros or the Yanks. So the Phillies will probably win in 6, 5.
I don't know. I don't even know how to gauge that series.
That's so unlikely, in my opinion. So
yeah, it looks like the Phillies sticks against the Padre pitchers and clutch hitting, but let's face it, Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler have basically just been unhittable, and the way that they've been able to get through has allowed them to set up for both of those guys to pitch in all the key games. So however it pans out, I mean...
Yeah, they basically need to carry him to save from that terrible bullpen and shoddy fielding. That eventually feels like that's going to come home to roost for the Phillies.
You think, but I mean, like, I don't know. Yeah. They all of a sudden, like, they played with fundamentals.
Yeah, true.
In the biggest play of the series, Bryson Stott charges a ground ball at short, snags it and throws over to first, and Rhys Hoskins just makes a sick pick and basically just saves the game,
Yeah. They're saying
and
they out Cardinal the Cardinals, right? So
yeah, and they had out cardinaled the Cardinals before that. I mean, they have a 6-run ninth inning. Sorry, Butler. They have a 6-run ninth inning where not one ball they hit in the inning was over 88 miles per hour exit velocity, which means, dog, as you and I well know, exit velocity is awesome, except when it's an out. Then it means absolutely nothing. It's great to hit the ball hard. It really is. But it's sort of pointless when you watch teams like the Phillies construct an inning like that, and you watch the success of the Cleveland Guardians. The Guardians could easily be going against the Astros. And you know what? They would give the Astros fits if they were in there. They would, because they can pitch, pretty good at the front. Although once they got to Aaron Savali, that didn't work out for them. But that was, you know, kind of it. I mean, once they got toward the back of the bullpen, the last three guys didn't give the Yankees really anything, and that would have played well probably against the Astros if they could have gotten leads, and they, would put the ball in play, make the Astros possibly throw it around a little bit, and at least test some of their defense, right? I mean, keep hitting the ball to Jordan Alvarez, right? I mean, at some, make him run around. Maybe you'll tire him out a little bit, and he won't hit the ball. He'll only hit the ball to the second deck instead of the third. Or bring in somebody that's not Robbie Ray to try to get him out. So that'll be a really cool ALCS, and whichever of those teams wins, all due respect to the National League, will go in as the World Series favorite. Um, I think the only way that's probably not going to happen is if one of these teams between the Phillies and the Padres executes like a really dominant sweep or 5 games, right? Then they might not be such a prohibitive underdog, and say the other team, the Yankee Astro winner is an attrition war, 7 games, and the seventh game even goes to extra innings, and
yep.
They're playing. They get 1 day of rest, and they go in, and they would have to play the Phillies or the Padres, who would have their rotations set perfectly, and the other teams are scraping the bottom of the barrel to throw their fourth or fifth guy out there to start with and see if they can catch their sea legs. So, I mean, it doesn't mean they can't win. I mean, if you're good enough to get to the World Series, you're good enough to win it, right, dog? Agree on that?
That is true. That's true. I
So,
mean, particularly, I mean, it's funny. That's kind of what we talked about when we were picking, right? We both sort of had that the AL would be coming out bruised and battered after a long tough pennant, and then the NL side, I think both of us had fairly easier routes for the ones that we thought were going to make it. I had the Braves. I think you had the Dodgers in that. Um, and who knows? Maybe instead of that, maybe it is a Phillies. I mean, I guess of the two, I could see a Phillies, especially if they get done early, can set up the rotation again, get the 2 top guys, so you get 4 games out of them out of 7 on there, and plenty of hitting, and you hope the defense and enough of the rest of the pitching can kind of hang in there to sneak, maybe one more of those other games. To stitch it together with maybe getting 2 or 3 wins from your top guys. Particularly if the other team are coming in like off, rotation is off, right? So if you got to start with number 3 and 4 against your top 2 from the NL side, but
okay, so
we're a little ahead of there.
we're
So.
we're getting a little feedback from Butler Miller and Michael Serra on the chat. Butler says Bader, he cut his hair and gained strength. He is great. He covers ground and saves runs extremely fast on the bases. As Sarah says, okay, that's not fair to Montgomery. He was going to start game 3, and they wind up bringing him in game 2 to try and save their season. That said, I do like Bader's play. I don't know if he would have started game 3. I mean, maybe the only reason he would have started game 3 is because they didn't like the way Adam Wainwright was pitching. But we've seen these teams. We thought that Shane Bieber was going to start game 5 for the Guardians, and he didn't. So he can start game 1 the 2023 season now, right? I mean, that's the risk. And Nestor Cortez, who was on the same rest, pitched well on short rest, 5 innings, allowed a run, and gave them the boost that they needed. Aaron Savali, dog, yesterday. Well, I should never say that on a podcast where people, could be listening to this on Wednesday or Friday or, in 5 years from now. But on Monday, the 17th of October, when this game was supposed to be played, the fifth and deciding game in the Yankees-Guardians series, and it was Aaron Savali that was listed as the starter, the scenario that I was hoping for as a Yankee fan was on base, home run. Like, get the 3 runs out of the way before Francona could short hook them. And if you could get those 3 runs early, you can push their big 3 in the bullpen back and just, make them use those guys up just to stay in the game. And, that dream scenario played out. It was Stanton that hit the home run, and he was the 5th batter. And then they had another run in the 2nd inning when Judge hits a home run. And then they tack on one later, that insurance run, which allows you to play those late innings a little bit differently. Like you can let the pitcher put a runner on base, and you don't have to quick hook him, because if he puts another runner on base, okay, then you can get him out of there. And even if the next guy comes in and gives up a home run, you still have that cushion. That 4-run cushion is a massive difference from a 3-run cushion when you're the Yankees and you have those question marks in the bullpen. If you're the Guardians and you have that, the 3-run lead versus the 4-run lead you're not going to play it that much different. You're going to let those guys start out with clean innings, and you're just going to let them go until you really need to reach in for the next guy. So it just played out perfectly. I was surprised that Bieber wasn't out there, and I was glad to see Savali start. And then the fact that it played out the way the only thing would have been better was if Rizzo hit the home run, because I bet him to hit a home run. I bet Rizzo and Bader to hit homers just because I figured I might as well.
DraftKings, your ad here.
yeah. DraftKings same game parlay.
2023.
The Riz and the Dog same game parlay on DraftKings. Odds boost. Odds boost 300. Yeah, so don't sign up for them until we tell you to. But yeah, I will stand up. And I still, Sarah, Paul, my neighbor, they still don't like that trade. All I could say is Jordan Montgomery was never going to win you a playoff series the way Harrison Bader did. He's got one in the books. He put it in his back pocket. He won you that series.
Where's the mic? Boom! Just drop the mic.
Turn on the TikTok camera, dog. So
I don't know how to call that.
dog, the viral moment, the viral moment on Twitter from Monday, when so Mike Sarah's been awesome. He's joins the show a lot. He's always like one of our best commenters, a super supporter and a great friend of ours. Was sitting at the stadium, waiting for that game to start with our. Well, I'm just going to call him our Jerry Milani, and like all of us are waiting for some kind of news. Like, are they gonna play it? Are they gonna cancel? Are they gonna give us a proposed start time? Whatever. So poor Mike and Jerry, among others, are sitting there at the park, and ultimately it was sort of a wasted night. So I decided to make a little witty tweet, and I tweeted this out. I just happened to tweet it out at 9:31 Eastern time. And I think they postponed the game within like 5 minutes after I happened to tweet this out. So I tweet out, the Guardians-Yankees game has been postponed and will be made up as part of a doubleheader on Wednesday in Houston. The Astros will play Cleveland in the first game and the Yankees in the second. Houston will have to play doubleheaders each day, one game versus each team in the ALCS. And it was pretty good. Like for me, it kind of, it got a lot of looks, I mean,
Yeah.
like I don't have like a zillion Twitter followers, but I need you guys to support me on that.
Put a
And
comment and share.
got a few likes on it, a few replies, a lot of looks, and and one reply from Uncle Paul. Are you serious?
That's classic.
Are you serious from Uncle Paul?
A day later.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, Uncle Paul's the best. He's not. He hasn't been making it to the live chats though. So we miss Uncle Paul
True.
on the live chats.
You know who doesn't miss Uncle Paul? Howie Rose. A classic time. Susan Wallman. I hate her.
No, she's got a terrible voice. Oh my God.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. Uncle Paul's like one of the best follows on Twitter ever.
That was awesome.
He doesn't have a filter.
I think Howie was flat out stupefied.
Yeah.
Uncle Paul seen it all. He was stupefied.
Uncle Paul doesn't have a filter. He could use about 2 or 3. Dog puts in the chat. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Yeah, that's about Diamond Diehards. That's we stole that from the Believe in Giants podcast with Bob Papa, fellow Fordham grad, and Bergen Catholic grad like this guy, and Carl Banks. How about those 5-1 Giants? Oh baby,
love it.
Still controlling their own fate for the NFC East.
Wow, there you go. That's
While
right.
the Cowboys are not. Because of that loss. But the Giants are. So if the Giants win out, they will win the NFC East by a game over the Eagles. It'll be like a game and a half because then they'll have swept them. But, yeah.
There you go.
So,
one at a time.
16-1.
Till we're not.
5-12.
I tell you, the Giants have definitely made the early Met exits a little more bearable for the doggo. So.
Oh really? Really?
Takes a little of the edge off. I'll come back to it. It's not going anywhere. I'll come back to it. It's still sitting there, still in the crawl a little bit. But...
Okay, according to Twitter, Kyle Schwarber just hit a ball 1,100 feet. I'm guessing that it was a home run. It's 2-0. So the no-hitter is over. That's Will Myers has the Padres hit. Darvish through 5 has allowed 2 home runs and 1 other hit with 7 Ks and a walk. Wheeler has allowed a walk, and 5 Ks through 5. Boy, the Mets could have used Zach Wheeler. Looks like a cheap contract now.
Mm-hmm. Tough one.
Boy,
Tough
dog.
One. I liked him.
Dog, a lot of revisionist history here. I killed you on the Cano Edwin Diaz trade forever and a day. And, you have to say now in the end, well, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. Like they went through Diaz's contract. He's almost certainly going to re-sign there. But we could talk about that. I had a Facebook thread going with one of my friends about this. But now finally in the end, when you look at all that is said and done, because you're at the end of the Diaz contract, it was worth it for the Mets, mainly because they got the ownership switch. They have the number 1 payroll in the league, so they could afford like a mistake like Robinson Cano at the end of that albatross contract, right? Like they just say goodbye to him and got out, from underneath it on the current payroll, but they still have to pay out the dollars of it, right? But
Sure.
but Diaz had turned into the best closer in the league by, it's him and Class A, and between the two, I think probably 7, 8 out of 10 would probably take Diaz over Class A. Now they got to re-sign him in the free agency, so that deal looks a lot better in the end. And we don't know what Kelenich's going to be. He still hasn't been anything, so there's still a chance, I suppose, that if he turns out to be a stud, that you could say Seattle won that. But for right now, it's switched back over the Mets. The other one that you and I used to talk about, probably before there was a podcast, was we used to joke that. Well, you would always joke. You would say, Hey, the Mets. We'll give you we'll give you Yankees Zach Wheeler for Gary Sanchez. I'm like, no way. The Yankees are never gonna do that in a million years.
Gleyber Torres was my one. That was the one I wanted all the time.
I know, but but you did say because of the Met weakness at catcher that it was you. I remember you always you might have switched over to Gleyber Torres, but you definitely used to say Zach Wheeler for Gary Sanchez, like for sure. I'm attributing that to you, whether you like it or not. Because who else would have said it? Like I wouldn't just.
I don't know. I'll be honest. I remember that was. I mean, I could see it.
You switched off to Gleyber at some point.
I kind of think I started with Gleyber, to be honest, for a while, and then we sort of gave up on it. And then I was like, I can take Sanchez.
Yeah.
I'm not sure on that one, though. I don't
No,
know.
I remember it was a catching thing. It was like a catching hole thing for the Mets. Because you had the other guys.
You probably talked me into it at some point.
You had the other guys coming up because you had Rosario and Jimenez coming up through shortstop, and you didn't really have, Alvarez wasn't like
Yeah, he wasn't on the radar yet.
He wasn't there yet. So it was and I was like, come on, dude, that's ridiculous. They're never gonna do that. Oh my God, that would have been the biggest steal in Yankee history if they did that. I mean, because Wheeler's like great.
Yeah.
He's like literally front of the rotation guy.
Yeah.
Like on the Phillies.
I still say at the time that the Wheeler Torres I thought was a good trade, both teams, for what each side needed at that time. The Mets had a little bit extra pitching. They desperately needed some hitting and defense up the middle. Wound up not happening, but it would have been interesting. I think it would have been fair. It certainly would have been. It would have gone huge for the Yankees later. Depending on how Torres, who knows? Maybe Torres outside the Yankee spotlight, maybe he doesn't have the dip that he did. So
yeah, but even at that time, I'm trying to think if he even had that. I'm trying to think if he even had that ascension that he had. Like I don't think I think that was like pre-ascension. Anyway, so he's really good. Oh, Sarah says it was officially 488 feet on the Schwarber homer. Oh my God!
Goodness gracious!
Boy, I'll give you Darvish credit. When he gives them up, boy, they're not cheapies. That guy gives up some fucking bombs.
Schwarber can nail him. He doesn't hit him off him. When he does, cream it.
Wow. Yeah, Sarah says if we traded Sanchez for Wheeler, we'd never would have seen the legendary IKF, who might be back in the lineup now that Aaron Hicks had that collision with Oswaldo Cabrera, who was playing shortstop and Hicks in left. Hicks is getting an MRI on his left knee. And, he's been kind of the whipping boy for Yankees fans, or at least one of them for this year. But, he's going after a ball in short left field at the line. To me, it's an outfielder's ball. And the infielder and the outfielder are calling for it. The third baseman, Donaldson, backs off. And Hicks, has a line on it. And Cabrera just goes all the way through and hits into Hicks on the knee, and
Yeah, just unfortunate. I mean, that's the only problem, I guess, in playoff baseball, right? It's so loud, so raucous. You saw a couple plays like that in a couple of the series, right? Where guys just can't hear. It's just an unfortunate, weird quirk on that sort of situation.
The interpretation of how the fans see it, though, is always interesting to me. There's like zero tolerance. Like even my sister was like, "Come on, this is ridiculous. Everybody knows that's the goddamn outfielder's ball."
Yeah, but he doesn't know what's there. I mean, how many balls like dropped in no man's land for the Yankees? Right? I mean, that's the ironic thing, right?
No, I know.
You had like the triangle out there. Somehow they kept finding us the ground, so they finally get there with both of them.
Well, my sister Michelle knows I'm ripping on her because she's, she was an outfield. She was a Fordham outfield. She was a Fordham center fielder. Softball.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, she played center at Fordham.
Wow.
And
she's like, that's my ball.
And her son,
it's my ball.
My nephew Angelo plays the outfield for Rutgers Newark. So they're partial to the outfielders. Whereas, but I mean, yeah, like a ball when an outfielder's coming in and an infielder's going out, typically the way that it works is center fielder rules over all. And then if it's a ball into the outfield, it's if it's not the center fielder, then it's one of the corner outfielders that can call off the infielder. If it's an infielder that's calling anybody off, it's the shortstop is the king or the queen. Then it's the second baseman, then it's the third, like there's sort of like the hierarchy goes from the middle.
Yep.
But it's not perfect, right? Like baseball's not a perfect sport, softball's not a perfect sport, so these things happen and balls are hit into no man's land and
But like I said, they each are doing the right thing.
Yeah.
It's just unusual. It's an unfortunate accident.
Yeah, Cabrera was making, a mistake of aggression. So, that's typically going to be more forgiven. You'd rather somebody be a little bit more aggressive and make a mistake rather than just like everybody pulls up and the ball drops.
Yep.
So
that is true.
It's, that's the Phillies problem, right? Like that we talk about that there's like these things sort of happen. Like that little fly ball goes into short left field and Schwarber's not going to call anybody off, and there's pressure on Stott to hustle out there to get a ball, and Alec Baum at third. Like there's just a different level of pressure. Like those guys are not at this point in their careers. Schwarber we know is just not. He's
been brutal forever.
Yeah, he's just not. He just doesn't have range as a left fielder. He's in there for his stick and is on base. And Stott looks like he could be a pretty good player, but he's not like among the hierarchy of defensive shortstops. And Alec Baum's at third, and he's got a nice stick, right? Like I'm being nice to him. Sometimes he makes some good plays, but like he practically wanted to walk off the team when he made 3 errors in an inning earlier in the year and F-bombed the crowd. Which actually, ironically, in Philly was like probably the best thing that he could have done. Like I'm not taking shit from
One
any
of
you
us.
guys.
One of us.
Yeah, I'm not taking any shit from you guys. By the way, is there like a guy that's ever looked more like a Philly than Brandon Marsh? Like they made that trade just based on the way he looks. Like he just looks like he's there. So anyway. The game is now into the 6th, and it's 2-1. Dog, you got picks for the Yankees Astros? Do you have picks?
I'm not there yet. I will. Let's see. Do I go with the head or the heart? I've gone with the heart and I've gotten destroyed in my picks generally. I will go. I'm going to go Yankees in 7.
Oh my God!
I'm going to put the hex on you. I put it on you. I put that evil on you. I'm just kind of getting the feeling this is their time. I did not pick it prior to it. I obviously reversed it. I had these two actually. It was the only two that finally worked out in the bracket. Was going those two. I had the Yankees coming up just short, but I think I think they're coming out of this division series feeling good and not wiped out or anything. And I think they're due. I think they're due to have a heater with their hitters. And I think it's finally sort of time on that. I think they can kind of get carried. So they got through finding a way, and now I think they actually have some 6 coming their way.
Well, that is the other thing, right? Like the one thing that we haven't seen when it's now we've seen it happen against the Astros, we just haven't seen the Yankees do it. Is a team comes out and they just bring the lumber.
Yep.
And they just out hit them and win the series, right? That's what
Yep.
the Nationals did, right? They did that, and like Steven Strasburg was not human, but that's what they did, right? Like they kind of just beat them over the head, and So we know it's possible, right? And yeah, I mean, do the Yankees have the sticks to do it? They do. I mean, what's interesting, dog, is like, look, Hicks, you're not going for an MRI unless they think that you have some kind of, you know, ailment in your knee that's probably going to keep you out at least a week, right? Like it would
Yeah.
be weird for a guy to get an MRI on his knee
No, you're
and
good.
like and be back like the next day. Like literally the
The next
Yankees in
day, yeah.
24 hours are going to be playing again. Like, and the marbles are going to be on the line here. And that first game means a lot because they have the momentum from having just played, and they'll see if they could just carry it in and maybe steal that first game. Mike Sarah says Hicks says he's done for the season. Okay, so
There we go.
what that does is it opens now the roster spot. So Matt Carpenter was on the roster. He pinch hit twice, but is Andrew Benintendi ready? And now, if he is, you sort of plug him in there, and you're not plugging him in a shorter series, right? Like you can maybe get him back in there. He gets, you know, started kind of at the bottom of the order, and maybe he gives you a little bit of a different look. And again, he's a new face, right? He's different. He doesn't have the baggage that the other guys have, and he's a winner. He's won. He's got a ring, right? He's got a ring. He played well for the 2018 Red Sox. Played really well. So maybe he comes back. Maybe this sort of like opens the door for him. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that they want to just insert Marwin Gonzalez into left. I don't think they want to put Cabrera in left. And I think they moved Connor Falefa out of short. They want to give Cabrera that spot for at least for the rest of the playoffs and see how he does. And what happens next year is, probably Cabrera, I don't know if he would be the guy that they're looking at necessarily at short. They could look at him at third and do something with Donaldson or whatever. And you'd figure that they'd look at a guy like Benintendi or somebody else for left field. But interesting to see what they are going to do. And they have to turn around. I mean, they have to basically, they couldn't even really celebrate this win. Like they had to jump on a plane, get to Houston, have meetings in the front office to think about what the roster is going to be and what the pitching rotation is going to be. And do you need an extra arm, or which guy you're going to take? How are you going to get these innings out of this guy and that guy? And, who's going to be our left fielder? Like, that's a pretty big question. If you're walking into Houston, who's going to be our left fielder? But, dog, crazily, the way these things work out sometimes is the answer to who, it starts out as who's going to be our left fielder, and the answer ends up being the ALCS MVP, right? Like some crazy story. Like this guy wasn't even supposed to be on the roster. He wouldn't even have been there if Hicks didn't get hurt. And like, look who ends up playing left field for the Yankees, and he wins the ALCS MVP.
We'll see.
Ambitious.
I was about to say, how about provides a spark and helps him out in a game? We can get there. We might be moving up to 5D chess right now.
Yeah, 7D chess. And like, let's face it, Jose Altuve's probably winning the MVP. Guy didn't have a hit, and the Astros.
I'm so sick of that guy.
The Astros beat the Mariners 3-0 in a 4-game series because the last game was 18 innings and it was 1-0. Right? So they beat him 3-0-1. And Jose Altuve didn't have a hit in the series. He didn't have a hit in 3 games, which was basically 4 games. Unless he got one at the very end, but I don't think he did. I think he was 0 for the series. So that's a scary thing for the Yankees. Like, you're pretty sure that he's not going to carry an 0 for all the way through. But I will say this, dog. You remember back. You got to think back. Robbie Cano, when he was in his prime Yankee years, was a big stick in the middle of their lineup. Didn't he have like an 0 for 36 or 0 for 37 in the playoffs at one point? I'm pretty sure he did.
I'll have to take your word. I don't remember. I'll be honest.
06 maybe when the Tigers did him in. Sarah, help me out. I
I
think it
must
was
say,
something like
I'm gonna
that.
need a little help on that one. So
Yeah, it was like he had it like literally it's one of the longest playoff hitless streaks like ever by even like pitcher wise. Even like pitchers got didn't do that. I'd have to check it. Actually, let's see if I don't know if I can. Okay, I got Cano's baseball reference page up. Let's see if I could get to his postseason. There was '09. He batted 136. '06 he batted 133, and he was 2 for 15. So I don't know. I sort of remember him having like a really horrendous streak. Maybe it wasn't as bad as I think, but in '09, let's see, that's the World Series. He was 3 for 22, and he was 6 for 23, 261 in the ALCS that year against the Angels. So it's possible that he stuck one in there. I don't know. I sort of remember him having like a really horrendous streak like that. Playoff game log. How deep do we want to go, doggy? Postseason. Wait, here. Game logs. Postseason. Robbie Cano. No, don't you know? Uh, hit. No. This is like vintage Francesa Russo. Hit. No, zero. No, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought he had a horrendous streak. Maybe it was in the regular season that he did it.
yeah, maybe like down the stretch or something like that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he didn't have that kind of streak in the playoffs. He did. Well, let's. Oh wait, hold on. 2012. 0 for 4, 0 for 6, 0 for 4. That's 14. 0 for 6.
20.
0 for 4.
24.
1 for 4.
1 for 28. That's pretty bad.
Okay, there we go. So 0 for 26 maybe.
Was that against the Tigers, Mike?
Yes. Yeah,
Mike,
there were
Mike
Tigers in there. It was against the Orioles and the Tigers.
So Mike was chiming in Tigers when they got swept and Jeter got hurt.
Yeah.
Mike.
But he did get a hit, so he got a hit in the third game of that series. But there was a 12-inning game, a 13-inning game against Baltimore where he was 0 for 10 back-to-back. And then 0 for 4. And then a 12-inning game against the Tigers, he was 0 for 6. Yeah!
There you go.
Fuck Robbie Cano. That segment brought to you by the Mascolo Group, Realtors.
Still a good trade.
The Mascolo Group, serving all of your real estate needs in the northern and Pascack valleys and all of northern New Jersey. Go to GaryMascolo.com or call 201-615-3665. GaryMascolo.com or 201-615-3665. If you're buying, renting, owning, you're selling, whatever you're doing, North Jersey, that's where you go. FMSgraphics.com, a family-run, family-owned business for the last 50 years. All your printing and promotional needs can be taken care of at FMSgraphics.com. As we do all the time, anytime our supporters are backing us and you hear about it on the air, you could always go to the description wherever we are, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube or any of the audio places, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon. We always list our sponsors for that episode in there, so you could always find them there. So if you hear something that you like and you're like, oh wait, I don't feel like rewinding it or it's live, just go to the description and you could help support us there. All right, dog. Final segment is on the NLCS. We're into game 1. The Phillies are up 2-0, and they're like at the 7th inning stretch. Which way do you have this series going?
Of course, we had neither of these teams remotely close to being here. Caveat with that. I will go with the Phillies because I think they got the better pitching going. The Fundies, I guess, are going to find a way to hang in at this point, and I just think they're a stronger, deeper team than the Padres. That the Padres have really kind of overachieved, and I think eventually they gotta come back down to reality.
That two pitcher, stud move that the Phillies remind me a lot of the 2019 Nationals. A lot.
Hmm.
They got those enough slugging sticks out there,
Yep.
right? And they have the two frontline guys and Scherzer and Strasburg versus Nola and Wheeler. But I actually think the Padres are a little deeper. Um, and like even in this game, like the Phillies is a 2-0 lead going to be safe? Like the Padres have kind of become experts at, finding this one big inning where they string a few hits together and they get something from the bottom of the lineup. Like so far, their two leading hitters for the playoffs are Trent Grisham and Austin Nola, who's Aaron's brother. So how cool is that? They're going to face each other in game 2, unless Austin, doesn't catch. But I think he'll be in there. Um, Both of those guys hitting 348 through the playoffs so far, and you know Juan Soto 233, but like he's walking. He had a huge sacrifice bunt, that moved his team in position to just be where they are. I mean, when was the last time you even thought of Juan Soto sacrifice bunting? And they're a little more sound defensively as well. And I think I feel like over a 7-game series, that plus okay, you got Darvish going kind of toe to toe almost with Wheeler. Wheeler's out pitching him a bit, but the game is not over, and I could see the Padres coming back late in this one and stealing it, which would really, really, really deflate the Phillies' chances. Like the Phillies have to hold on to this game. If they're winning games where Wheeler and Nola are pitching them into the lead through 7 innings, like they got to win those games. Otherwise, to me, they don't have that much of a chance. So I actually do like the Padres to find a way to kind of get through here. But I would not be surprised either way. I mean, honestly, you could tell me that this series is going to end in a sweep for one team, a sweep for the other team, or one team will win it in 7. Like you could put
Yeah, and they could happen.
any computation of what you want, and I could see that happening in the series. If the Phillies win this game, they could sweep. They could win 2 games at San Diego. They could go home and they could bash everybody else's brains in, like they did to the Braves for goodness sakes. If they could do it to the Braves, they could do it to the Padres, and they could do it to the Astros, or they could do it to the Yankees. So nothing would surprise me, but I do think when it washes out, there's just a couple more things about the Padres that I see like as a path to victory. They have a couple more paths to victory
Yep.
to me here. But the Phillies one path, the path that the Phillies have is a pretty good path.
Yep.
So the Phillies probably have the best path. The Padres have more paths. How about that? Is that good?
Yep.
I'll
So
pick the
you know
I'll
we
pick the Padres. I'll pick the Padres.
we got double back. I don't know if we got your pick for ALCS, by the way. We kind
Well,
of talked it through. I just sort of hinted
I
it out, but
well, you know what? I figure I'm just gonna stick with the Yankees because I actually picked them in our
bracketology.
show that was the bracketology, and for like if it was last year, like we would have been dominating our picks right now. like the stupid Brewers, like they would have, like this is like what I was predicting for the last couple of years would happen, and now it finally does happen. And I picked the chalk. So yeah, I'm just gonna stick with the Yankees. It's my heart more than my head, probably. They're at quite a disadvantage coming in. They're not going to see Garrett Cole till game 3, and the way that that sets up is if he's, if they can get to a 7th game, then he'd be pitching. If he's pitching at all, it would be on short rest, or maybe they'd bring him out of the bullpen or something like that, and Cortez would be game 4. But listen, if the Yankees' path to victory to me is they get off the high of winning the series against the Guardians, and they hustle into Houston and they steal game 1, where they're badly outmatched in the pitching matchup, right? Badly. It's the worst possible, scenario, right? A number 1 against your 4 or 5. So, and it's on the road, right? Like, so if they go in and steal that one on momentum, right? And then they go 1-1 or even 2-0, let's say, back to Yankee Stadium, they've actually played the Astros pretty tough when they've played them in Yankee Stadium. So if they could actually walk into Yankee Stadium with that kind of lead, and then they have Cole and Cortez, that's a path. That's a path for them, to take it in 4 or 5, say. And where they've had trouble is they've gotten, sort of to the precipice there, and then they go back to Houston and they just can't muster up that other win that they need there. So, and, again, they'll be at a great disadvantage if it gets to a 6th or a 7th game. So to me, their best path to victory is the quick steal in game 1, walk out 1-1, Cole and Cortez, you lean on them, the sticks light up, and you see if you could, parry them back. They've done well against Alvarez. Alvarez has not been the guy that's killed him in the playoffs. It's been Altuve. So he's cold. Alvarez is hot. Maybe they keep, Altuve on a cold streak and they continue to do, what they've been able to do against Alvarez before he's really become the player that he's become. Willie McCovey, Big Papi, whatever you want to call him. So I'll stick with it hard overhead, but the longer it goes, the better the Astros' chances are. And if the Astros are in there in the World Series, I mean, they're going to be a prohibitive favorite, against even if one of those teams, like we said, if one of those teams sweeps and just dominates in the NL, they'll be less of a prohibitive favorite, but they'll still be 1-3.
Yeah.
They'll be a big favorite. Dog, you know what? We got to also talk about Gatto Acupuncture and Wellness in Glen Rock, New Jersey. Book online at gattoacu.com, GATTOACU.com, or call 551-212-3845. This is my left arm. If you can't see it, then go on YouTube or Facebook, and you can see all of this wonderful range of motion that I have in this left shoulder, which at some times has felt like garbage, but Dr. Melissa has helped me through that. So I recommend personally Gatto Acupuncture and Wellness in Glen Rock, New Jersey. And if you're over there, the next town over from Glen Rock, dog, is Fair Lawn. And if you have a dirty ride, you got to go to Big Ed's Car Wash in Fair Lawn, right on the border there of Bergen County and Passaic County, equidistant from all locations there. Big Ed's Car Wash, 17-16 River Road in Fair Lawn. Your car will go in looking not so hot, and it will come out looking like brand new inside and out, and it stays cleaner longer. And especially now as we're starting to hit the winter months, with those just upon us, it's even more important to
Gotta get that salt off.
have that ride looking good. And these days in the fall, it's nice. You get these low humidity days. There's not many clouds in the sky. It's bright, and your car or truck will just look awesome if you go to Big Ed. So tell Big Ed that Diamond Die Hard sent you. Dog, Devils get their first win of the season. Gotta be pretty happy about that. And they did it wearing the black jerseys, which I like. Our friend Paul G, not my neighbor, doesn't seem to like them. I have one. I've worn it on the show. I think they're great. And now they're undefeated in them this season. So
There you go.
Devils getting back at it. Beating the Ducks. Oh, baby. Riz needed to improve the DraftKings account with that one tonight, but he was a little lax getting the devil bet in. Maybe a little shy after the 2-5-2 losses to start the season in gloom and doom in Devil World. So it's an interesting time of year. We're into the heart of the baseball playoffs. We have a lot of football to be excited about with the Giants and the Jets here in the New York, New Jersey metro area. And the overlap of football and baseball is always an exciting time. But then when you have hockey kicking in, if you're into that, and then the NBA starts on this evening, October 18th, it's like one of the craziest times of year to be a sports fan. And if your kids are around, they're playing their sports, and you're trying to take them to their sports and watch their sports and be into that stuff, and watch your pro teams, and the games get more important as they go along, and it's really cool. And of course, Dog, we haven't done our favorite segment in a while, but we're going to end it with Die Hard Dads. So this day, 17 years ago, was my final one as not being a parent.
Very nice.
Which means producer Xavier and his triplet brother Dominic, who composed that jingle that you just heard, and his triplet sister Louisa will be... they're mere hours away from their driving test, which means it's their birthday.
Oh, boy.
On the 19th. So it is a big day in the Rizzo house on Wednesday. And we're very excited about that. We're cautiously optimistic of what is going to happen tomorrow at the DMV, the godforsaken DMV. That's Dog knows. Over and over.
Oh, boy.
And Dog still has a few trips to make there? Yes, he does.
Yes, we do.
So it was with great anticipation this day 17 years ago that I was spending my last evening as not a father. And then the next day I had 3 kids. And here we are. Podcast.
There you go. Very nice.
Great little and Janice, our wonderful pal, wishes them happy birthday in the chat. So Janice,
good job there, Janice.
A great supporter, a great supporter of Diamond Diehards from day one. So yeah, it's a big day, Dog. It's a big day. Like Dog does think Dog has 6 kids. He's smart enough to spread it all out. Riz is like, wait a minute, I gotta hit 3-run homer, baby. Go big or go home.
Get on, go home.
I have the deficit. Right in one shot. Actually, you know what? Come to think of it, you went up 3-0, and I hit a 3-run homer to tie you, and you got so pissed that you popped out 3 more.
So you're to blame.
True story? Yes, true story. I think Noreen made it 3-0, right? Or was that 4? No, it was 4-0. Because Noreen's older. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hit a homer to make it 4-3.
Made it close.
Yeah, and then Dog's like, yeah, we gotta tack on. We gotta put Keegan and Michael on the board.
Put them in motion.
Gotta put Keegan and Michael on the board and put the closer in to keep that
little small ball.
Keep that 3-kid lead.
There you go.
I'm thankful for my children. The mother of my children, the great Debbie Rizzo, a big Met fan who was
the Saint.
Who was correcting me on the diatribe that I was passing along about the end of the Mets season and their, as the way they ended the regular season and then exited from the playoffs. So big day. There were some good trips made here, like before and after the Yankee games. So she managed to let me figure out a way to squirrel that out. And so I got to see, most of the game. There was a little parallel parking practice going on during the first few innings, and I'm screaming in the parking lot of an abandoned middle school, all rise, and yeah, fucking Stanton. Like good thing no kids are around. And yeah, so that was pretty good. It was a pretty good Die Hard Dad's Day leading into hopefully an even better one on Wednesday when probably most of you are actually listening to this or watching it. So
I hope their first week goes better than number four's first week when with the driving and so forth, because the Diamond Cat is still driving certain somebody to school every day, even though there's a vehicle that's supposed to take her back and forth to lovely Kane University. So hopefully the Rizzo triplets do not have that sort of situation. Don't try and back up 2 spaces.
I think that was on a previous Die Hard Dads. So
it was.
if you want to pick that out, go ahead, dog. Maybe we're getting good at putting up clips now from our YouTube videos. That's bumped up the YouTube viewership by
Nice.
popping those clips out.
We got some goodies back then. There we go.
Yeah, we might have to go start fishing them out or have people do it for us. Our social media managers who are not very busy apparently, or busy with
Other
many
things.
other things.
Oh yeah, well actually I got a whole other one. The interns moved on to working in a lingerie store. So
Oh boy.
oh boy. She's already told no modeling. Sales only.
Oh my god.
Hey, anything is possible.
Oh boy.
We will see. We will see. She's 21.
There's no
There's no easy day.
there's no record stores or like, you can't go work at CD World anymore, dog, because you can't work at Comp USA because those places don't exist anymore,
That is true.
It's hard it's hard to find a tangible place for a kid to work these days.
She found one. Hands on service. I don't know.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. So yeah, man, that's probably my diehard dad.
Yeah.
I got Molly, but I'll save that for another time. Molly in Spain. So
I think when your daughter starts working at a lingerie store, that's the died hard dad. Like you're just dead. That's the end. You just
it's all. It's not.
You're John.
Not coming back from that.
You're John. You're John McClane in a Christmas movie. You die hard.
Exactly.
It's that kind. It's not the kind that we want.
Oh man.
All right, doggy. I think we can wrap it up there. Follow the dog on Twitter at Jeff Healy 8. That's the number 8. And you can follow me at Diamond Diehards. We want you to subscribe to the podcast because not only are we doing this for fun, but we're also doing it because we want to do it well and we need support to do it. And we're grateful for the support that we've gotten to this day, and we would like to have even more of it. So if you like it, tell a friend or pass it on to somebody who's going to subscribe, or subscribe yourself if you haven't done it. You're like, well, I keep popping on, I see the live streams come up, and go on Spotify, go on Apple Podcasts, just put Diamond Diehards in there. It'll pop up, and hit the follow or subscribe and the alerts button. And then every time we're doing it, you could support us that way. That really helps. When you help those, we get these like things that are called download numbers, and that really helps us out a lot too. So we encourage you to do that if you haven't done it before. And if you don't know what you're doing, just ask us. It's like, we don't have a lot of people pinging us at this point, so we'll be glad to walk you through it personally. And I think that's gonna wrap it up. We'll get you, if you're checking it on the live stream. It's still 2-1, and the Phillies are leading, and Zach Wheeler made it through 7 innings. So Sir Anthony Dominguez has now entered the game, and Yu Darvish made it through 7 for the Padres. So that's a rarity. 2 pitchers going 7 innings each here. So that's a pretty good NLCS to start with. If the Padres rally and somehow win, you heard it here first. We'll see how that goes. But until that is actually final, well, you could find out for yourself. And we're going to check out and get on with it. And we'll be back probably sometime during the middle of these championship series in the respective leagues Depending on how fast it goes, it could be in a few days or a week. But we'll see. We'll try to sneak in and give you some quick hits or something like that if we can as well. So that's going to wrap it up on Tuesday, October 18th, a Tuesday Night Live, dog, as it turns out. And the Yankees advance by holding off the Cleveland Guardians, and they get set for another shot at the Houston Astros. That is going to do it for another episode. Who knows? How many episodes has it been, dog? I don't know. I don't count. We don't do that. We don't number the episodes. We just title them. But it's been 100.
Over 100. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 100, maybe close to 50 or 128 maybe. I don't know. Actually, there is a way I can get the number, but I'm just not doing it now. Either way, that's going to do it. We appreciate your support. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us everywhere on social media because we're there. And we want you to come back and keep enjoying it. And we got some more good stuff coming up that we keep talking about, and you're going to see it very, very soon. For the dog, Jeff Healy, this is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.